We're glad. All these people that were so glad that finally his inner circle, someone that he called a friend, a brother, is going to betray him, and we're going to be able to rally into that cause and betray and crucify him.
Shut up,
Kill
honey.
him. We have followed him. We have gone. We have stalked him. We have questioned his every motives. We've questioned his deeds. He's questioned his.
So Matthew, I got Matthew, Scotty, but Scotty's back now.
His teachings. We have
Exposure.
after his life.
Exposure.
We have done everything we can in the eyes of man to deceive the many by saying that Jesus is the false prophet. That's what they've been saying.
Back on March 9, 2018.
And all Jesus did, say, he that has ears, let him hear. He that has eyes, let him see. And he said to them, your father is Satan, the devil. But now they've got somebody in his inner circle. Someone he called a friend. Someone he called an ally. Someone he said, eat with me and I will sup with thee. Someone that walked with him every day. Someone that knew him personally.
And to think back then, I didn't think anything of the shades. I didn't think anybody was reading a script. There's a lot of things I didn't think of until it takes place.
Deceived him.
And then time goes by and you learn more about the language.
Deceived him. You know, to be able to deceive Jesus, he had to lie about him. Think about that for a second. Judas not only accepted the money that was given to him, the money, the monetary value, but he also sat there and produced lies about him.
So Judas, it's a spirit. It's a betraying spirit. Was there just one Judas in a group of people that are doing the same exact thing? Do they pick just one? Or is it a group of people that decide to do the same thing?
And what do these evil people do? What do they do next? They were glad and coveted to give him money. And he promised and sought opportunity to betray him unto them in the absence of the multitude. See, in other words, they told
modern day terminology is your subscribers.
quit teaching your teachings. Quit telling people how to have the true gift of salvation. Quit giving out the secrets, Jesus. Quit. And Jesus said, no, I'm not going to quit.
Jesus again predicts death, resurrection. And while they were gathering together in Galilee, Jesus said to them, the Son of Man is going to be delivered into the hands of men, and they will kill him, and he will be raised on the third day. And they were deeply grieved, the temple tax. When they came to Capernaum, or Kaepernick, doesn't mean I actually believe that that's what that is, but that's what it reminds me of. When they came to Capernaum, those who collected the 2 drama tax received tribute money, came to Peter and said, does your teacher not pay the tribute? He said, "Yes." And when he came into the house, Jesus spoke to him first, saying, "What do you think, Simon? From who do the kings of the earth collect customs or poll tax? From their sons or from strangers?" When Peter said, "From strangers," Jesus said to him, "Then the sons are exempt. Then the sons are free. Then the children are free. However, so that we do not offend them, go to the sea and throw in a hook, and take the first fish that comes up." Go to the sea and throw in a hook, and take the first fish that comes up. And when you open its mouth, you will find a shekel. Take that and give it to them for you and me. So this is how I do the hot or cold. Just because I put up a clip of something that's being said, it doesn't mean that I believe what that is. It's all about perception. But when I show little clips like this, not that I believe that that's exactly what that is, but because I don't know, and the Spirit will be able to communicate through others to let you know if you're hot or cold, one or the other. And that's what God wishes, is that you are either hot or cold. That way you don't care if you're not. If I don't have the answer, I don't have the answer. If I don't understand the verse, I don't understand it. If I see something that reminds me of how this role has played out before, well, then I'll show things like this.
Telling people how to have the true gift of salvation. Quit giving out the secrets, Jesus. How?
Because you don't want, they didn't want you to get people to turn away from being their own worst enemy. That spirit pushes the energy that creates that in people's minds. And if you can get them stuck on it, and then you'll be able to control them. And they would be no threat. So the secret is when you defeat yourself. It's something I'm still working on. I'm still working on defeating the other judgmental spirit that goes on inside of my own mind towards me. No matter what you do, I've learned to catch it, because when I'm done speaking about anything, I'll stop. I'll push the stop button. Then I'm thinking, and then that judgmental thought will either come and attack me, or it'll be something that is more acceptable. I've heard that spirit that communicates that way with myself my entire life, and it's always going to be there with me. So I admire the people that can get up live, do a show, be comfortable, make other people feel comfortable when your guests aren't. I'm an awkward person. It's just the way it's been. It's the way I was brought up, because I communicated better with spirit instead. I can communicate with you better through video instead of live. Maybe I'll get better at it. Maybe it's something I'll just do regardless. Or maybe it's just not something for me, where I'm more better off gathering information, using other people's words to speak for me. I feel like it's more effective that way, to have others speak for me, use their own words to make up my story. And it's been working pretty well. I mean, I don't know how it developed, it just did. And you're able to get more of a story by hearing it directly. Because instead of me telling a story, I can use the exact person and let them tell you what they said.
All they have the true gift of salvation. Quit giving out the secrets, Jesus. Quit. And Jesus said, no, I'm not going to quit. I want my people to be Jesus. Quit. And Jesus said, no, I'm not going to. So his inner circle had to betray him. To the point.
And I even had like an inner circle, and I experienced a betrayal. That's just a fact. Like that's a reality that took place. I experienced that. And I get to tell the story, and I get to show it again and again and again and again to even remind myself. So back on March 9th, 2018, I'm not even a year into YouTube yet. I'm a baby, still pooping my pants in the diapers, 11-month-old, not even 12 months yet. And I met a bunch of people. That was weird because that's not who I am. I don't do social media before YouTube. MySpace for about a month or two, and then that was it. Other than that, wasn't into talking into a phone or a computer or anything. Didn't even like talking on the phone. Didn't feel comfortable having conversations with people. So that's how I am, and I've been. And the past 4.5 years, I've learned to stop that the demons that attack you, I've learned to silence them. But I've only learned to silence them because I've been attacked so much by them. I've never been attacked by them so much before I hopped on YouTube. Before I met all of you. Never experienced what it was like for people to even hate me. Never felt that. Like, why do these people, what? I don't get it. I'm telling them the truth. Like, what? This doesn't even make sense. Why are a bunch of people who said they were my friends, that acted like my friends, or whatever friends were, I'm not sure because I didn't really have friends. I bounced around from different places, so never was able to stay comfortable with friends. Didn't go to high school because I was on the run for getting locked up at the age of 14 and then 16, running from the juvenile place at the age of 14. So I wasn't able to go to school. I was on the run. Didn't hang out with people in high school, how people have cliques and they gather and you develop social skills and whatever. You're a regular teenager. That's not who I was. There's nothing regular about my growing up socially. Nothing regular about it. Some of you have been trained your entire lives. Derek, I think you were trained I think you were with the Disney, the kids Disney thing. I'm pretty sure I've seen that. But regardless, if you're not, I'm not going to accuse you of it. But when Andrew when I found he was from over in Dollywood, like, oh, that's pretty cool. You're almost in Hollywood. And then I started talking to people that make movies, and I do a live stream with them, and I'm an awkward person, and they want me on their show. For the life of me, but for what? I'm awkward. I don't know the Bible inside and out. I'm not an actor. Not that I'm not a hired one. I've done some acting just to make people laugh and because it felt good. But never got paid to be an actor on a movie or a commercial or anything. I never went to Bible school. I didn't even graduate high school. I had to get my GED from the place I got locked up at the second time around, which I stayed. I was in there for 8 months, got my GED, and got out. It was just me, two other white kids that were mixed culture, and about 500 black kids. I worked with them. I was there for 6 months. I worked for 6 months at Pizza Hut off campus at the age of 17, locked up, but I went to work. I worked with the black kids. And for the most part, I didn't have any problems. Except one time I did, and then we were going to work, and they was picking on me, and I got mad, and yeah, I called him a name, and then after that, that was the end of it. There was no more picking on me. But I've always felt more in tune to what you're thinking all the time. I was always tapped into other people's heads, more about what they're thinking. I don't know why I thought that way. Why do I care so much what people think? I shouldn't, but I do. But I don't care what you think about me if you have a negative opinion. I don't care. If it's negative because of you, I don't care to hear it. If it's criticism because it's constructive, I care to hear it. I hear it all the time in my head from those that are speaking through this platform to me. I hear it. I hear what you're saying. I don't get all of it. There's a new way of communicating. You can even talk directly to somebody. You can even go live on their show. You're still going to communicate in a way that only you and that person know, and others that can speak the same way. I try to talk to people about what I think in reality. What good does that do? People that are like-minded. That's why I hopped on here. I was able to release the sickness inside from what I was seeing, because I know what I'm seeing. I'm seeing lies on the television set. Regardless of what they say happened, I'm not believing it, and it sickens me. So I'll make fun of them. So the spirit of mocking them entered in to my spirit, and I started to mock the 450 false prophets. Not even by design. I didn't even know that that's what Elijah did. But that's the same thing that I started to do, is exactly that. And yeah, I was mean sometimes, but I always like to try to keep it light and make people laugh, because I know people are going to laugh if you're able to mock the right person and do a good job at it. And then what happens is you gain the respect of the others that are watching. Like, yeah, that was pretty funny. Derek, he got you on that one. And then, even though how I grew up on YouTube, I look back at the videos a couple years ago. I'm addicted to Xanax every single day, years back. I kicked that habit over a year ago. I still take a piece here and there, a piece of a piece of a piece. And those that can see what I do day in and day out, you know it's true. But I'm just talking to my regular subs because I'm talking to you who can see day in and day out, and then I talk to others, regular subs, and I talk to the agents that don't watch all the time, but you watch through the YouTube. Your job is to be the highest trained reviewer on me. So I go through all these emotions with these people that came in my direction as a physical manifestation. I thought Stephen James DeShawn was my friend. I thought he was the only one. I almost thought for a moment he might be the Messiah, the one that is supposed to come. Because Harold Camping had the similar spiritual, the way he talked, I understood things a little bit more spiritual because of it. Hopping on YouTube, talking to Justin all the time, helped me awaken more in a spiritual sense. And but when it gets to a point where you feel like you're being forced to do something, you just cut it and end it. So that's why that's the way it is. I'd rather talk directly to the boss than the ones working under him. So apparently that was my goal. That was my goal. Hopefully one day I'll reach that goal and fulfill it. Talking to the boss of all the bosses. Because it's not possible to actually do that, right? It's not possible for a human being on planet Earth, down here in Antarctica, where we live, in all likelihood, to figure out what's really going on behind the scenes and not be a part of it, not even go to school for it, not even go to Bible school, barely ever went to church, didn't read the Bible much. Hopping on here, I'm just like, when you read the Bible and then you compare the situations that happen in your life, like as I'm speaking about myself personally, I see where things like line up, like, wow, that's kind of crazy that like they're doing that same thing, and then I'm doing that same thing to them, and then I'm getting chased by them, and here comes Ahab and the Jezebel's after me, and I'm fearful, scared to death to talk to Jezebel. So the things that take place are happening in my life in a real sense. They've happened back then. For Stephen James to make videos about me all the time and saying how much of a liar I am. In the beginning, I didn't get it. It was pissing me off. It was making me mad because I never felt such betrayal of people that would act like they're your friends. They would tell you they love you. Nobody says that. I mean, you know, my wife, but just saying, like, I've never heard that from other men before. Like that. So, when that happens, it's like, oh, that's cool, man. I love you too. You know, because I do. I did. I still do. Even more. Because of this. Because this is a real live experience that people are experiencing, and so am I. What an honor it was to find out that SJD was the top Luciferian in America. And then to find out about the gang stalking and the commandos, and even if it's true or not, it's just the fact that, well, it doesn't matter to me if that's actually true. It's just the fact that it's printed, it's on the internet, and it hasn't changed. And it's the same face. And Tyler Mullen is back there with you. And I watched some videos about that and you and Tyler. And Tyler talking about Anna. Who's Anna? Deshaun and kind of stuff. And the Vicar of Lucifer, the Vicar of Jesus, the Jesuits. Was I supposed to be scared? I was never scared about that. Uncomfortable? Yeah, like thinking I got like the devil talking. The devil has my phone number and he's texting me and he's calling me and he's telling me I'm going to see a train wreck if I fail to communicate with him. I don't want to talk to you anymore, Steve. I mean, back then. So I cut you off. Like, get out of here. I'm tired of this. Stop talking this shit to me. Trying to force me into believing who you say you are. I don't care who you are anymore. You know, speaking about back then, how I felt. But I do care about everybody that I came across. And all I want you to do is just tell the truth. Just tell the truth. Like, tell it. Judas. So, Derek, is that you? That other channel? That weather guy? Because it looks like you. You're not around anymore, and you definitely did your job. So, there's no question that you were representing Judas in this scenario back then with me. I don't even know you people. Before I hopped on YouTube, I didn't know anybody because I wasn't a social media. I wasn't social with anybody. So I wouldn't expect to even communicate with anybody. I'm the one that asked for all of your numbers and put them together. And I'm like, hey, I got 12 disciples. And I'm just kidding. I was just kidding. I forgot the girl's name, but she got mad. Like, you better watch what you're saying, Robin. You better watch what you're saying. What do you think, you're Jesus? Picking up your cross and follow you? Yeah, because literally, I knew that I was being surveilled by Gang Stalking Corporation. So I put on there, follow me, because you already are. But I meant like follow my lead. The lead. Like where the Spirit takes me. Just follow that. Don't look at me. This is why I love those that can see this. I know you don't look at me and hold me fully responsible because I'm just a child growing up in front of your face after 4.5 years, almost 5. The Spirit is the reason why I'm even communicating with you in the first place. The Spirit inside of me gets me to a place where I don't even know why I'm there. Why do I even feel? Why did I say I want to be on Derek's show? Why did I say I want him to hop on mine? Why? I am not the social type of person that even engages in conversations like that with people that are in higher places. But apparently the Spirit that is created by others communicating and showing, then that's what leads me into the wilderness. The Spirit led me into the wilderness. It's a collective. You watch something on TV, you see what's happening, like, no, that's not true. Ah, man, that guy makes me so sick. And that Spirit fire gets you moving to where you got to do something about it. So when I made fun of people, mocking them and dressing up like a clown and acting like everybody, well, that was therapy for me. I was releasing my tension. I was getting rid of the disgust that I had in my heart. And I knew I was making you laugh at it. So you came after me, I'm mocking you. I'm enjoying it now. I'm having fun, and I know you're laughing at it. That's how I've learned how the respect came in my direction. Although there's still people that have hatred and would probably wouldn't care if I died or not. Just wouldn't even care. Would probably rather if I just did. There may be some that are looking forward to shut my channel down at this coming up here, this reset after Derek's 4th year on YouTube. And there's a deputy that is hired, and the deputyship is up. It's coming up soon. The person that's hired as the deputy from the sheriff, because there is a sheriff, there's a human being, and his name is called El the Almighty God. There is a human being out there. And it's because that's the name of who he is, because he actually owns the whole planet. I never thought that would be actually something that was true, that would happen. I just thought there was a bunch of people. But there's somebody that's called that. There's somebody that is taking that position, and they are considered God. And then there's Satan. He's cast down. And he's on the earth, and his angels are with him. So there's Enki, there's Enlil. These are things that in the Bible, there's so many people that are the same person. So many people. And that's what you guys already know. So it's easy for you. The day that I can be told and understand clearly what this whole thing is, who is actually playing who? Who's who? Who planned on being that person in the Bible before this conspiracy started? And who would have known that there was a host body system with your tree of life rearranged inside of you? Who knew? I mean, there's no proof. What I'm saying is, how can you even take... Like, what I'm saying is, how is any of this stuff even true? I got no proof. There's nowhere that I can search in like Wikipedia or any other places that shows what kind of system is inside of your belly, because your belly is your God. And some people's bellies are God because they like to eat, and I fight that belly God off too. Not as much as I should, but I still try to keep myself from pigging out. But this interpretation is your belly is your God, because not only is that the pleasure and the enjoyment, but it's also a birthing system. So because it's, you can say, yeah, it's your God because that's your sexual preference and whatever, and that's all you prefer to do all the time. And then you can also say, yeah, that's, the belly is your God because it produces a baby. It produces birth. Who would have thought you can go and find on the map something that resembles... Why was I looking at Philly anyway? Why was I even... Why do I live in this area? And why didn't I just stay in Florida where I was born? In Bartow. My toe was burnt by my sister when I was like 2, and it has a barcode toe. Was that done purposely? I don't know. It seemed like everything is randomly happening. Bartow, Florida. Then I come to Philly and live there for a while. Then I start working in Philly with my boss. After knowing him for 20 years, almost 18 years. So I know my boss for almost 18 years, as old as my son is. And I'm working for him now, past 3 years. And I find out so much stuff by going down here lunch breaks and extending my time and charging for my lunch breaks, stretching my hours. But I've been more honest since then. I just looked at it like, well, you know what? I understand. I mean, if I didn't need to make money and I had employees that did a great job, man, you want to go see Philly? I understand you didn't go to school, so it's like you didn't take these trips down the center city and see them ever. I don't think I was ever in the art museum. I tried a couple months ago, but they're pretty adamant about wearing a mask, so I'm sorry, never mind. I'm good. And I'll just wait. So if you want to take some time and, make it feel like it's not really work, because I get it. If I can free up people's spirits by making a new mandate that all hours are cut in half. And I know what Kim says. Oh, now everybody's going to be lazy. No, because you have more motivation when you can get something done quicker and get the feeling of having double the amount of satisfaction from doing that thing that takes half as less to do. And the reward is twice as much. Half as less, twice as much reward. What does it matter what people do day in and day out? Why is it that it's been designed for people to work and work and work and busy and not have time to do anything and then die? What's the point? Well, because everybody was selfish. Everybody was selfish. They owned this entire world. This is Satan's backyard. And the Lord God up there, this is his footstool. But the Lord God that I know is the spirit that I've known since the time that I can remember being alive and thinking. I didn't talk till I was 5 years old. So most of the time I don't have anything to say unless it's something interesting. And this became interesting. This whole system became so interesting because of what I found. And the reason why you know that, well, you must be somewhere in the ballpark, or else, you're not going to have people inviting you on their live stream show. That's a highly watched program. You're not going to just have people invite you on to ask you what your opinion is that you don't even have. I have more opinions as I think I'm out than being asked about them. But that's because in school, I used to hate getting asked questions. I hated it. I don't know why, I just hated it. Because it's almost like a trick question. Everything is like a trick question. Or maybe it's just me being paranoid, which it probably is. But it's something that I just have to work on because I shouldn't hate anything. But it's because of that enemy inside of my mind that tries to distract me instead of just thinking about what the answer is. There's something about hopping onto pushing record and talking into a device, even though you're talking to yourself. At this exact moment, it's just me. But I feel like I'm already talking to the people that are watching. I already feel that as I'm talking. But then when I get on live and I start talking live, Well, that's another different feeling, another uh, uncomfortable thing that I just have to work on getting over. But if I don't have many opportunities to do it, then practice makes perfect if you do it more. But what do you talk about? Well, when I was on Derek's show for those 3 times, neither one of them did I know even what the show was going to be about. So I didn't know the topic. And what I did study was from before, and what I talked about was from before. After the show, I have all kinds of stuff to show you. But during it, I don't have much of an opinion. I don't know, I want to hang out, but maybe if I knew what it was to talk about, I would look at things. I think that's why the second show went a little bit better, because I knew what it was about, and then I searched it. I did a little bit of studying because the title gave it away. And I'm like, all right, well, maybe I should look into it. Or no, I had plenty of time to know the next week about that. Regardless, unscripted, I don't have a purse. What am I supposed to worry about when I talk to the magistrates? Because this is all about judgment. This whole thing, look, he's falling upside down with fangs on. I mean, who does that besides Jonathan Kleck? And then to think that I found the person that, like, this head is the person of who I just said it is. Wouldn't that be something? An eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth? Falling upside down with fangs on. So because that's Jonathan Kleck's slogan, and I feel like they run this planet, I'm pretty sure I'm right, because these are all the things I've been saying, and the host body, and I'm not an actor nor a Bible scholar, but Derek Bros offered for me to hop on a show and just talk about whatever it was. Four and a half years later. All right. I'm learning. I appreciate everybody's patience with me. I'm only 4.5 years old. I'm your little brother, everybody. Hey, Robin here, the last born with the least amount of experience in the family with anything that you guys have. Media history, some of you were born into it. Some of you have been in movies, and you can read a script so damn good that you almost can't tell. You almost can't tell that you're reading the script. Not that I'm even mad at that anymore. I was judging you guys before, but you know what? If you can gather it, if you can get it together, and the message is clear. I don't care what the hell if you're reading. I don't care if you're acting like you're reading or not, or if you're straight reading. Doesn't matter. What's the message? So he's shooting something over here. Also looks like Beavis a little bit. Yeah. Right, Beavis with the teeth, the eye, and the nose. Crazy teeth. Anyway, I have quite an imagination. But am I really imagining this stuff? Is that not a snake coming up? The second one behind it with its tongue. Is that not a snake? A beast rising from the sea? Why is it? Why does it have the male reproductive system in its mouth? Why is it like a Ouroboros eating its own tail? How come this thing over here looks like AI? What, I don't know if maybe it's a winking an eye, or he's tired, sleeping, rolling over, looking like there's a cup in his hand, drinking from the fountain of life, while the other fountain is green. So there's two fluids, and then there's that, and then that just so happens to turn into a sheep at the end. But it's not even a sheep, it's just, I mean, it's poles and grass. How did they know that that was going to turn into a freaking sheep from the sky? Like, what? Who thinks of this? You can't even think this stuff up.
So when you saw it, so what you're saying, you can't make this stuff up, that you were looking.
That's right, Derek. Yeah, you can't actually. I can't make it up. But when you look at it from above, it turns into a sheep, knowing that this is the dead sheep system. And then I don't know what this represents, but if it has something to do with like a beehive or something, then I would understand. But who would have thought that bees can be born inside of a host body and then they're birthed out? Like, where do bees come from? Where do fish come from? Why is the water salty in the sea? Why is it salt water? Where does all the poop go? The amount of people in the world, if you just, next time you're walking around or driving outside, you just look around, like, and look at all the people that you see just within your sight and think for a moment. Everybody poops. Where does it all go? I don't even want to look it up, but I'm sure it's in everywhere. I'm sure there's things that we eat and we don't even know, and it's in it. I'm sure this is an entire cannibalistic system, and you're thinking, I'm only going to eat chicken. I'm not eating any meat. How do you know it's a chicken? How do you not know it's human? I heard that human meat is delicious. Well, cows, chickens, pigs, they're all delicious, aren't they? Meat is flesh. Don't we have the same type of muscle on the inside, flesh, fat? And then to think, where does ice cream come from? Well, it comes from a cow. Does it? Yeah, that's what they told us. I mean, I don't know. But it's weird to think that when you drink a glass of milk, that came from that cow right there. Like, you're drinking the milk out of that cow. How stuff can just produce out of thin air, out of nothing, is something that is amazing. And don't try to think about it too long, because it'll drive you insane if you try to think about how is that possible. How do we keep generating fluids? Where does saliva come from? How come you never run out of it? So to think that you could be drinking something from a human being and you don't even know the difference, because everything tastes like honey. What did John the Baptist eat? Well, he ate honey and locusts. He ate honey and locusts. Locusts, is that like crickets? Now, are crickets birthed out of the host body too, like the belly button? So if this was the stomach and that was the belly button, I mean, I don't know. This is like a sci-fi movie, but it's actually true, and that's the weirdest thing. Because if it wasn't true, or at least somewhat in the vicinity of being true, You would have never seen me on Derek Brose's channel. There's an 8. There's another 8. Right in the crisscross section. And then there's Penn Center Building 8. Where on the back of a $50 bill, when you fold it up, I mean, it just looks like the same exact building because of the round windows and that part there that goes like that, and a green or rounded edge but rectangle windows up on that 3rd floor area. When you look at it, it just looks like it was a bomb hit. And it was nothing ever happened to this place when I went there. But man, I'll be damned, I go over here on July 8th, 2020 looking for that bombing, and then I'm telling you 8:45 what time it is, and then at 8:46 those streams of water sprouted up for the first time all year, because before that it was dry like a desert. And then I come back at Harold Camping's World, second time, connected with Click, and when I was there on 7/8, I seen somebody up there at the top, Liberty 1. The reason why it didn't catch my eye, I didn't know anything about Liberty 1 or 2. I'm focused more on 17 JFK. But then I go and look. I'm down here I'm recording, getting ready to record. And up there I see somebody in like a white suit. I just thought it was somebody washing the windows or something. And it was also verified that somebody was there, because through the comment section, somebody was saying it wasn't the person. It wasn't Click. It was like his twin or something. Like an evil twin. Whatever, whoever it was, somebody was up there. One of these. Probably the top one, maybe. And I didn't record it because I didn't think I'd be able to see it. But, man, one of those things I wish I would have recorded. And I go over here, and then that water goes off for the first time on July 8th, 2020. Then I come back, Harold Camping's World. Next time, Barack Obama's coming to Philly, and Click does that video the morning before. The morning before I go, it wasn't guaranteed that I was heading there, because I was just saying, you know, bombing 1021, 8 there. But I said it so many times, I didn't need to be there every single time. But I wound up going there. And then at exactly 8:48 a.m., the water stopped while I was there looking for a bomb across the street. And then it went back up again. And that same morning, Jonathan Click was showing a video about Barack Obama saying, "Stay still to know that I am God." And then at 8:48, he said it. And I go there at 8:48, and the water stays still, because Click needed me to go to Camping's World, so he needed something to show me. So that's what he showed me. He has the ability to shut that water off and flip the switch again to turn it back on. That's what he showed me. But what does it mean? That's up for everybody's perception. Those who have eyes to see, those that have ears that can hear. You heard the water sprout up out of nowhere the first time. You seen it stop and then rise back up the second time, while I was there looking for a bombing. It's hit or miss. It's hot or cold. I'll show you something that I think may be it, or I'll add a clip in. And if it is, there's a confirmation like this being an eye. an obulus or oculus or whatever. Being a target. There's 3 swans blossoming. It looks like it's getting ready to blossom. There's 3 of them. There's 3 circles. It's a desert. It has 12 trees. It's a Garden of Eden in the middle of a desert with flowing fountains of water sprouting in the middle of a desert ground in the forest as the Garden of Eden, with a tombstone here that's empty because the bolts are missing out of it around that one end, which means it was used. And that tree was chopped down and now it's been uprooted completely. I don't know if they planted a new tree or not. Logan Square. It's the right side up V and an upside down V. Right side up, upside down. This looks like an elephant. Just what I see, elephant trunk. Male, female. The whole world is a stage. It's a twin system. It's twin libraries. It's the up library that looks like it's inside of water or something, a bowl that keeps it up. And then over here, it's the down system. It's like a dragon breathing out. You see the eyeballs? Maybe even looks like he's winking. Why would that stuff be there? Or is it just random? Of course it's not random. Uranus is a planet. Holding that out. The serpent. St. Peter and Paul Basilica, they just happen to be building a 3rd building here, like a temple. It's called a cathedral. I mean, think about it. It's being built right there at parking lot 222. Not that that's the address, but it's parking lot 222. And it's called the cathedral. It could have been called the temple, cathedral. It's just a, what is that called? A synonym? It's like a synonym, Cinnaminson, like that story about the rape. Cinnamon Son. It's being built right there. No, right here. And over here, there's 2, Liberty 1 and 2 buildings, just like the first 9/11. The Twin Towers. Philadelphia, a little bit of strength. Male, female system. It has 4 X's. They're pyramids. In gematria, it says something about pyramids being blown up. One of the numbers that Kleck showed. Forget which one. 1961. 19th Street, COVID-19, dead center of the Garden of Eden with the rivers of water flowing out. And you got to kill Omicron or whoever. You got to kill the... You got to find where they live. I would say this is the dead center. I wouldn't be surprised if it was the dead center of Antarctica. We're the ants. It's Arctic weather. And I'm sure that there's other places that are beautiful. because they have natural weather. Building 8, Penn Center Building 8, Tower 1 and 2, Liberty 1 and 2, first 9/11, Tower 7, had nothing to do with the two towers, but that collapsed as well. Last Christmas, I predicted that second 9/11 would happen in Philly. It would be darkness between the 6th and the 9th hour. And it's 2 days away from that year anniversary. I heard there's like a yearly contract, or like an engagement. You got a year of engagement. So back on last Christmas, Nashville, the entire block was blown up. Nobody died, because I said if that happens like that, you'll clearly know nobody died, except for the bomber himself, the one that set the bomb off, according to the story that they told you on the television set. It was between the 6 hour, 6:30, bomb went off. They kept showing you the smoke rising all the way up until past 9 o'clock. They made sure they showed you in that program at 9/11, the smoke rising, second, in Commerce. And what it did was, I said that would be Kleck's gift. It was a gift, but it wasn't the full gift. That was like a glimpse of what the actual real gift is. And the reason being is because nobody actually dies literally the way that they're telling you on TV. The people involved as a sacrifice, well, you chose to be a sacrifice. Everything is free will. God can't control you. If you're, what God is free will. If you decide to turn back to Him, God will be there. You want to go against the grain? The reason why the Bible tells you what things you ought not to do is because in the end, you'll see how that took place. Therefore, you love God more, because when He's like a father, when He tells you something, He's telling you for your own good, even if you don't even know. He tells you for your own good, and then when you fail, you learn. Then you understand what was being told to you was true out of the love of the Spirit. Then when you turn to God, finally in your own spirit, and you give up with what you've been doing, you find peace. That's what this is all about, peace. Quit giving out the secrets, Jesus. Quit. We don't want to hear the damn truth. So is that you, Derek, from A Glop of Truth? Is that you on that show over there, that weather show? Because he looks like you. Not going to say he is, but I wouldn't be surprised if he was. Congratulations, by the way. I don't know if you thought I'd still be here. Still, day in and day out. How many years ago was that?
We've questioned his deeds. He's questioned his teachings. We are
Exposure.
after his.
Almost 4 years ago. So we're coming up on 4 years.
To them, your father is Satan, the devil.
So what do you think? What do you think took place back then? Where did everybody go? I think they changed identities. I don't think you really look like this. I think that's a fake beard. I'm not sure if that's your real face, but you had brown eyes. You may have blue now. This could just be a complete mask all the way through. the greatest in the kingdom. At that time, the disciples came to Jesus and said, "Who then is greatest in the kingdom of heaven?" And he called a child to himself and set him before him in the midst of them. He said, "Truly I say unto you, unless you are converted and become like children, you will not enter the kingdom of heaven." Now, it's hard to be like a child all the way through when you have normal circumstances in life, like having to pay bills and having to go to work and having to do these things that you don't particularly feel like doing. It's hard to really feel like a child inside. So I can only imagine to those people that have the ability, you can do whatever you want in this world. You can do whatever you want. And you have the Spirit of Christ inside of you. You get to experience more of what that feels like than I do, because I'm still here on this in Antarctica as an ant, slave ant in Antarctica, doing all the groundwork. But I know that God takes care of his people, so it's only a matter of time until I get to experience that same life where I get to go and do whatever it is that I want to do. I get to experience what my words did by just speaking them and constantly just not stopping. No matter what you say, I don't care. I got to get this out. So one day, that's going to be great. And then I'll feel more like a complete reborn human being altogether. Can you imagine? You don't have to get up and go to work. This isn't work. Doing this is not work. This is just what I do. I know now a tremendous amount of people are paying attention, so I try to grow up. But I also got to have people understand where I came from. Like, what is my deal? Why am I the way that I am? What's going on here? Why are you doing this for free, Robin? Why have you not stopped since back almost 4 years ago, Robin? What is your point? Nobody's paying attention to you. You're just talking into, it's all about you. I heard Justin say one time, I've never seen somebody think that everything is all about you. I didn't make it about me. It just came about to be like that because of a desire that I have to not stop with whatever it is that God sends me on a mission to do. Because you may be thinking, I would never do that for free. The only reason I'm doing my videos is because I get compensated for it. My boss pays me well. Yep. It does make it easier, I'm sure. But what do you actually have to do? Are you okay with what you're doing? Is your father the devil? And are you okay with the things that you got to do working for the devil? Well, I wouldn't want to work for the devil, but I can work with the devil. I've been working with the devil. I'm probably as close to the devil as any human being on the earth besides those of you that are behind the scenes working with the devil. I've experienced the devil's spirit with me inside of my own mind, and I was blessed to have my child's mother. Boy, oh boy, was I blessed to have her, because I learned also, now you know what? I learned back then what it was like to be hated by somebody, but loved at the same time, but loved in a weird way, but hated. But to go through hell with her as one of them, if you Jezebel spirit. I think she was Jezebel actually. Maybe I was Ahab. I don't know. But I can say that my kid's mom would pass as Jezebel, and I'm pretty sure that she would say the same thing, right? And then getting attacked when I'm at work trying to get work done, and I tell this guy at the job site how to do his job and remodeling apartments. He's poking holes in my place, sabotaging my work. I didn't fail at that either, but it made it difficult. So everybody, it seems to make my life difficult. I guess what I'm saying is I'm fed up with that, and this is what YouTube is. I get to express how I'm fed up with everything and how people have been treating me throughout my life. And then on the YouTube platform, how the betrayal was so thick and what I learned from it. I forgive everybody for doing what they did because they didn't know. Well, how are you supposed to know what you're doing? You have a job to do. You have a script to play. It's a conspiracy. You have a concealed weapon inside of your body that nobody's supposed to know. You're a male and a female. You're both. One day you're a woman, next day you're a man. It's the greatest illusion in the world. And I just happen to be a part of those that are doing it and talking directly to them. What an honor that is. I always wanted to reach the people that are running this planet. I just didn't know that it would happen like this. Now that it has. Now what? We just take it by ear? December 23rd, 2021. I need to get this out. That way I can move forward with my next videos. Just understand, when I take clips of people, I put stuff together, and I read the Bible, and I show clips of whatever I'm doing or whatever somebody else is doing, it doesn't mean that that's what it is, but that's how I'm putting my story together. Because I can be misinterpreting something, but I'm hot or cold, and I rely on the Spirit to correct me through you guys. Because I don't know the Bible like that. I wasn't part of a king royal family that I know of anyway. I wasn't blessed to be taught the Bible inside and out. I wasn't blessed with money and never had to really worry about working for a living. If I wanted to eat, I got to feed myself. And I've taken 2 extra days off of work so I can get more of this in. Today feels great because I know I don't have work for the next 4 days, depending on what happens on Christmas anyway. This could be the last day of working like this. For whatever reason you may think, but my future, Kleck's gonna need me. He's gonna need to give me a pair of his shades. Come out of the darkness and into the light. So I put pieces together, put the puzzles together, and the Spirit leads me to doing it. And then when I hear something that's either correction or fulfillment, I'm so grateful for that, because there's nothing more that I would love to be able to open up the Bible, and everywhere I point to, I know exactly who played that role in front of my eyes. Like, oh man, that was you. So you were Isaiah this entire time, Kleck. Oh man, that's crazy. It's insane. Well, because a lot of people pointed themselves as Paul and the Antichrist and Jesus. So woe to the world because of its stumbling blocks, for it is inevitable that stumbling blocks come. But woe to that man through whom the stumbling block comes. Woe to the man whom that stumbling block comes. If your hand or your foot causes you to stumble, cut it off. Cut them off. Cut it off and just throw it from you. And then the fact that people take this literally, look, if your hand causes you to stumble, cut it out. Cut it out. Stop doing what you're doing with that hand. Or, slow down on it. Pace yourself. It is better for you to enter life crippled or lame. Like, man, you are lame. You're lame. You mean you don't want to do that with your right hand anymore? You're lame. That to have two hands or 2 feet. It's better to enter crippled or lame than to have 2 hands or 2 feet and be cast into eternal fire. If your eye causes you to stumble, pluck it out and throw it from you. In other words, stop looking where you're looking. Pluck it out, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. Man, that Old Testament sure is brutal, ain't it? That God back there seems like real angry. He let Elijah slay 450 false prophets, right? Or was it 400? Was it 800? I think the story changes, but so they all turn. Elijah sent fire down from heaven, and then they all said, "The Lord is God. The Lord is God." So they all came to the knowledge of the truth, and then Elijah took out a sword and killed them, murdered them. I don't know about that story, but I know Steve didn't like it when I was talking about Elijah just slaying him with the word. So if your eye causes you to stumble, pluck it out and throw it from you. It's better for you to go into life with one eye and keep it single. Yep, that's the truth, ain't it? Than to have 2 eyes and be cast into the fiery hell. Because if you have 2 eyes, one of them's looking this way, one of them's looking that way. One of them's good, one of them's evil. If you want to pluck that evil eye out and make it one, then eye one and make it single. The parables of the lost sheep. See that you do not despise one of these little ones, for I say to you that their angels in heaven continually see the face of my Father who is in heaven. For the Son of Man has come to save that which was lost. What do you think if a man has 100 sheep and one of them gone astray? Does he not leave the 99 on the mountains and go search for the one that is straying? If it turns out that he finds it, truly I say to you, he rejoices over it more than the 99 which have gone astray, like the prodigal son. So it is not the will of your Father who is in heaven that one of these little ones perish. A brother who sins. If your brother sins, go and show him his fault in private. If he listens to you, you have won your brother. But if he does not listen to you, take one or more with you. So make a video and get 1 or 2 or more, so that by the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, every fact may be confirmed. If he refuses.
But now they've got somebody in his inner circle. Someone he called a friend. Someone he called an ally. Someone he said, eat with me and I will sup with thee.
Matthew.
Someone that walked with him personally deceived him. you know, to be able to deceive Jesus, he had a lie about him. Think about that for a second. Judas not only accepted the money that was given to him, the money, the monetary value, but he also sat there and produced lies about him. And what do these evil people do? What do they do next?
So Derek, was that Derek from Glop Truth? Were you playing that role as Judas? And did you accept the money? The money. Did you accept the monetary gain in order to play that role out against me? Is that or is that not true?
They were glad and coveted to give him money.
If he refuses to listen to them, tell it to the church. The church is your channel. And if he refuses to listen even to the church, let him be to you as a Gentile and a tax collector. Like Matthew, a tax collector. Truly I say to you, I wonder if you really are a tax collector too, in real life. Matthew, with your stage name. Whatever you bind on earth shall have been bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth shall have been loosed in heaven. Again, I say to you that if two of you agree on earth about anything that they may ask, it shall be done for them by my Father who is in heaven. For where two or three have gathered together in my name, and I am there in the midst. Parable of the unforgiving servant. Then Peter came and said to him, Lord, how often shall my brother sin against me and I forgive him? Up to 7 times? Jesus said to him, I do not say unto you up to 7 times, but up to 70 times 7. So 70 years, the nation of Israel, up until 7 years, 7 more years. For this reason, the kingdom of heaven may be compared to a king who wished to settle accounts with his slaves. When he had begun to settle them, one who owed him 10,000 talents was brought to him. But since he did not have the means to repay, his Lord commanded him to be sold, along with his wife and children and all that he had, and repayment to be made. So the slave fell to the ground and prostrated himself and fell down and worshipped him, imploring him, fell on his knees before him. Be patient with me, he begged, and I will pay back everything. And the Lord of that slave felt compassion and released him and forgave him from his debt, the debt of sin. But that slave went out and found one of his fellow slaves who owed him 100 denarii. And he seized him and began to choke him, saying, Pay back what you owe. So his fellow slave fell to the ground and began to plead with him, saying, Have patience with me, and I will repay you. But he was unwilling and went and threw him in prison until he should pay back what was owed. So when his fellow slaves saw what happened, they were deeply grieved, and they made a video and came and reported to their Lord and all that had happened. Then summoning him, his Lord said to him, You wicked slave, I forgave you all that debt because you pleaded with me. Should you not also have mercy on your fellow slave in the same way that I had mercy on you? And his Lord, moved with anger, handed him over to the torturers until he should repay all that was owed to him. My heavenly Father will also do the same to you, if each of you does not forgive his brother from your heart. So with the family that I adopted back then, almost 4 years ago, even though everybody was betraying me and playing this role that I didn't even know, I still learned what it was like to accumulate friends, because I never really had them beforehand, and I was okay with that. Don't get me wrong, it's not like I'm going around like, hey guys, you want to be my friend? Can I hang out with you? No, I was used to my two brothers. They would leave me behind all the time because they really didn't want to hang with me, but they didn't want me to get in trouble because they were out creating mischief all the time. I learned it by watching them. So it's not like I was ever desperate to have friends. I was perfectly okay with being by myself. I was just always able to keep a peace about it. But then when you hop on here and you have so many demons attacking you, swirling around nonstop, and then combine that with the Gang Stalk Corporation, combine that with the people on YouTube showing you that they're responsible for it, and they're pulling these tactics, then that's one hell of a way to learn how to fight off demons. So I wasn't much of a social person before this YouTube, and now that I've gotten the attention of the planet and the planet watches, then I'm setting an example as to how I live, knowing that I'm watched 24/7 as it is, and then understanding, so what? So what? You watch? I can see what's going on too. I don't even have to be there. But I know that there's something that was hidden. It's a secret. Quit giving out the secrets, Jesus. Quit. Quit telling people how to get saved. Because if you show them what's going on inside of their body, and they know that you are just someone from the outside because they've been surveilling you the entire time, well, maybe now the communication is a little bit different, because there's a certain amount of respect that you gain for people that do hard work. And, if you do it for free, it's even better. And if you can do it unscripted, it's even better. And if you don't know anybody from the inside, it's even better. The reason why I didn't have actual friends, maybe one or two I socialized with here and there, is because I never had anything to talk about. What's going on in my mind just doesn't seem to be going on in anybody else's mind. And whatever it is, it just doesn't matter. Yeah, you can talk about sports. I watched the Eagles game for the first time all year just because we happened to go out to eat at PJ Willihan's, and the Eagles game was on. I believe they were 6-7. I just haven't watched the game since I predicted that they would win the Super Bowl exactly the way that they did when they won the Super Bowl. After that, I knew it was all script. I became uninterested. Plus, I was getting interrupted by my Obama and all that stuff. So now, people that I do talk to, well, you're more interested in what I'm saying, because even though I'm not directly even talking to anybody, per se, the majority of the time, but when I do, there's more to talk about, because now this is an interesting subject matter, just about whatever else is going on that I've been figuring out. But when you try to talk to regular people that aren't in on the world events, caring about it, understanding a deeper meaning to what we were told, when those people don't exist, then you're not going to have any friends. I know that my future revolves around talking to many people face to face about all types of stuff. And I'll get comfortable with it regardless because that's how it has to be. My life has no meaning until that fulfillment comes about with me. Working for a living is not life. It's not being able to really do things. It's just not life. Living it, having access to it, being appreciated for the work that you've done for free for all those years. And the one video that was monetized, that's mine. I created that goofball video by spotting security guards. That's how I got everybody's attention. That's a 3 million view out of the blue random circumstance that took place. Because I was a thief and I know how to spot security guards. And those that run that system, that's why I got that many views. Because yeah, I may have been cocky and arrogant, but discernment was dead on with those / security guard, highly trained citizen on patrol. And that was the avenue to get there. So I got there. And all I want to do is share the information that I have to help anybody mentally to get rid of the demons that you have that I can see. And the demons that I have that others can see. It's not like I'm being possessed by a demon and in a way of doing anything that's wrong. It's just more of a psychological, social, awkward, getting used to speaking to people in high places. I would have never thought that I would do any live shows from any channels that are high profile like Derek Rose. Although I wanted to, even though I don't even know what the hell I'm going to say or do. It doesn't matter though, because just the fact that I hopped on there, he allowed me to 3 weeks in a row, and all of yous know who I am because yous all attacked me. And I have a feeling Derek might have helped you guys get that job that he got, because he has a way of turning millionaires into billionaires. I mean, there's something there that he's able to, convince you or talk you into. It's like, it reminds me of the sign of Jonah, where Nineveh was going to be destroyed. But, Jonah knew he knew, he just didn't want to. So you know what he did? He took off and he left. And when you take into account a day as a year and a year as a day, and he was in the belly of that great fish for 3 days, and Christ was in the heart of the earth for 3 days, and when you are in a tomb for 4 days, it's 3 days and 3 nights. And when you rise from the dead, and when you go and tell Nineveh, the king, and when destruction doesn't happen, and the second 9/11 never happens, and the bombing at 17th JFK never happens, and Christmas just comes and go, and nothing takes place, but you see the sign of Jonah, and great fear falls upon them which saw it, because they all know, and they're like, oh shit. No, don't worry about it. We're just here to mock them. Yeah. Yeah, we're here to mock you, Robin. You can't. I'm unmockable. Meaning, I'm unfazed at being mocked in a way where it's a negative feeling. I'm more than honored when people call me a robotoid, call me a false prophet, call me a CIA agent. Yeah, I guess I am. I'm just not on the payroll. I'm doing it for free. I've been doing the CIA work for the past few years. I think that's why Derek invited me on that show. Right here. This one.
The Son of Man is that you give out your energy for mankind, for man.
CIA. Oh.
Then you have humanity. They're all concerned about their complexion. And then you have mankind. And these are the ones that are asleep, completely asleep. These are the ones that are AI, artificially intelligent. They are not
Really? How many of them?
awake.
They're kind of like man. Mankind is kind of like
Right.
man.
Right.
That's a good one. Mankind is kind of like man. Mankind, like, it's kind of like a man. No, not really, but I mean, it looks like one. So maybe that's why my brother-in-law is in the CIA, and you guys already know that, but that's all I know. Other than that, I know how to search and dig, and I can read people, and I can read your emotions, and some of yous are harder to read. Some of yous have been tough to understand. But when I look back at videos years prior, before I was awake, everything's a dead giveaway. But when you catch on, like Kim is good. He is good. I still almost can't figure him out. But I guess what I sense is good and evil. It either or can be to the fullest extent. But what's right, I sense that what's right is what he's doing.
So when we recognize what we're dealing with here, we're dealing with robotic people. We're dealing with people who are more concerned about everything else that's going on in the world. They're not concerned about the self. Your temple, if I would say anything, I will conclude with this. Your temple is the most important part of you. You can't bring 100% of yourself to me until you get 100% of yourself awake.
So, there you have it. I'm just being led by the Spirit to go wherever it is that I gotta go. If it's a wilderness in another stage, go into a wilderness. If it's a lion's den being attacked by lions, the greatest thing that Derek could have gave me was a shot just to go on the show. Just one time. 3 times? That's crazy. It gives me so much material to show. And that's why Derek knows exactly what he's doing with that, because it's a sign. The word of the Lord came to Jonah, the son of Amittai, saying, Arise, go to Nineveh, that great city, and cry against it, for their wickedness has come up before me. But Jonah rose up to flee to Tarshish from the presence of the Lord. So he went down to Joppa, found a ship which was going to Tarshish, paid the fare, and went down into it to go with them to Tarshish from the presence of the Lord. So the great storm came. But the Lord sent out a great wind into the sea, and there was a mighty tempest in the sea, so that the ship was like to be broken. Broken up. The ship, like Satan's house is divided and broken. Then the sailors became afraid, and every man cried to his God, and they threw the cargo which was in the ship into the sea to lighten it for them. But Jonah had gone below into the hold of the ship, laid down, and fell sound asleep. So the captain approached him and said, wait a minute, does that say how many days? No, yet. So the captain approached him, saying, how is it that you are sleeping? Get up, call on your God. Perhaps your God will be concerned about us so that we will not perish. Each man said to his mate, come, let us cast lots so we may learn on whose account this calamity has struck us. So they cast lots, and a lot fell on Jonah. Then they said to him, tell us now on whose account has this calamity struck us? What is your occupation, and where do you come from? What is your country? From what people are you from? Are you from the Anunnaki, the Inky and Enlil land? He said to them, I am a Hebrew, and I fear the Lord God of heaven, who made the sea and the dry land. Then the men became extremely frightened, and they said to him, how could you do this? For the men knew that he was fleeing from the presence of the Lord, because he told him he was. Jonah cast into the sea and swallowed. Cast into the sea and swallowed. I saw a beast rising from the sea, because after 3 days he was spit out. So they said to him, what should we do to you that the sea may calm down for us? For the sea was becoming increasingly stormy. He said to them, pick me up and throw me into the sea. Then the sea will become calm for you. For I know that on account of me this great storm has come upon you. However, the men rowed desperately to return to the land, but they could not, for the sea was becoming even stronger against them, stormier. Then they called on the Lord and said, we earnestly pray, O Lord, do not let us perish on account of this man's life, and do not put innocent blood on us. For you, O Lord, have done as you pleased. So they picked up Jonah, threw him into the sea, and the sea stopped its raging. Then the men feared the Lord greatly, and they offered a sacrifice to the Lord and made vows. And the Lord appointed a great fish to swallow Jonah. And Jonah was in the stomach of the fish 3 days and 3 nights. So that sounds like 4 years to me. 4 days, 4 years, because it's full, 3 full days and nights. Jonah's prayer. Then Jonah prayed to the Lord his God from the stomach of the fish, and he called and said, I called out of my distress to the Lord, and he answered me. I cried for help from the depths of Sheol. You heard my voice. So if you're cast into the sea, and the earth is the sea as a prison for you guys that live up in heaven, cast down here, it's considered hell. This is hell where we live in. That's why heaven needs to come down to earth. Spiritual hell. For you have cast me into the deep, into the heart of the sea, and the current engulfs me. All your breakers and billows pass over me, your waves. Then I said, I am cast out of your sight. I have been expelled from your sight. Nevertheless, I will look again toward your holy temple. Water encompassed me about, even to the soul. The depths closed me round about, and the weeds were wrapped around my head. So the waters, the gospel, engulfed Jonah. I went down to the bottoms of the mountains. The earth with her bars, because this is the prison earth, was about me forever. Yet you have brought up my life from the pit, O Lord my God. While I was fainting away, I remembered the Lord, and my prayer came to you into your holy temple. Those who regard vain idols forsake their faithfulness. But I will sacrifice to you with the voice of thanksgiving. That which I have vowed I will pay. Salvation is from the Lord. Then the Lord commanded the fish, and it vomited Jonah up onto the dry land. Jonah preaches to the Ninevites. Now the word of the Lord came to Jonah the second time, saying, Arise, go to Nineveh, the great city, and proclaim to it the proclamation which I am going to tell you. So Jonah arose and went to Nineveh according to the word of the Lord. Now Nineveh was an exceedingly great city, a 3 days walk it was. So you got to walk it for 3 days, 3 years. Then Jonah began to go through the city one day's walk. You know, like one day he went through there. And he cried out and said, Yet 40 days, and Nineveh will be overthrown, demolished. Nineveh repents. Then the people of Nineveh believed in God, and they called a fast and put on sackcloth from the greatest to the least of them. When the word reached the king of Nineveh, he arose from his throne, laid aside his robe from him, covered himself with sackcloth, and sat on ashes. He issued a proclamation and said, In Nineveh, by the decree of the king and his nobles, do not let man, beast, herd, or flock taste a thing. Do not let them eat or drink. But both man and beast must be covered with sackcloth, and let them call on God earnestly, that each may turn away from his wicked way, and from the violence which is in his hands. Who knows? God may turn and repent and withdraw his burning anger, so that we will not perish. When God saw their deeds, that they turned from their wicked ways, then God repented of the evil concerning the calamity which he had declared he would bring upon them, and he did not do it. So he didn't bring the calamity that he was going to bring upon them. Jonah's anger at the Lord's compassion. But it displeased Jonah, and he became angry. He prayed to the Lord and said, Please, Lord, was not this what I said while I was still in my own country? Like, Lord, while I was up in heaven, while I was up there, I already knew that you're merciful. So why do you have to come down here? Therefore, in order to forestall this, I fled to Tarshish. For I knew that you are a gracious and compassionate God, slow to anger and abundant in loving kindness, and one who repents concerning evil, calamity, disaster. Therefore now, Lord, please take my life from me. Take my life for death, because when you die in Christ, it's better for me than life. The Lord said, Do you have a good reason to be angry? Then Jonah went from the city and sat east of it. He sat on the east side of it. There he made a shelter for himself and sat under it in the shade until he could see what would happen in the city. So the Lord God appointed a plant, and it grew up over Jonah to be a shade over his head to deliver him from his discomfort. And Jonah was extremely happy about the plant. But God appointed a worm when dawn came the next day and attacked the plant, and it withered. When the sun came up, God appointed a scorching east wind, and the sun beat down on Jonah's head so that he became faint and begged with all his soul to die, saying, Death is better to me than life. Then God said to Jonah, "Do you have good reason to be angry about the plant?" And he said, "I have good reason to be angry, even to death." Then the Lord said, "You had compassion on the plant for which you did not work, and which you did not cause to grow, which came up overnight and perished overnight. Should I not have compassion on Nineveh, the great city, which in there were about 120,000 persons, 120 in the upper room, who do not know the difference between their right hand and their left, as well as many animals?" And that's the end of Jonah.